Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. K.S. Manjunath, working as an associate professor and head of the Department of Computer Science at Maharani Science College for Women, Mysore. In this semester, I will be handling the subject data structures and application. Data structure and application is one of the core paper in almost every undergraduate program related to computer science like BSc Computer Science, BCA, and also in postgraduate programs in computer science like MSc Computer Science and MCA. This is my first video lecture on the subject data structures and applications. The main objectives of today's class is to give an introduction to the term data structure. We'll discuss about the goals or the need for data structure and the classification of data structure, how data structures have been classified, the operation we can perform on the data structure, the difference between the two interchangeably used terms like data structure and data type. Because in your first semester, you might have studied data type. Then what is the difference between data type and data structure? We'll be discussing in this class. And I'll also give the definition of the term abstract data type. At the end of today's class, you will be in a position to understand the meaning and the definition of the term data structure, the need for data structures in programming, how data structures have been classified, and list of operation we can perform on the data structures. Before proceeding to define the term data structure, let us define the term data first. What is a data? Data is nothing but raw facts or figure. As the name indicates, data is not a processed one. It is still in a raw format. And the data will not carry any specific meaning. It's just a number and the figures. So data as such will not carry any specific meaning. For example, consider the marks scored by a student in 5 subjects. Let it be 62, 72, 82, 70, 60. By looking at the number, we can't understand what those numbers represent. So what we have to do? We have to process them. That means we have to process the data to get some meaningful result. The meaningful result that you get it after processing the data, we call it as information. For example, here you same 5 subject marks you consider, you add some, so you apply some arithmetic operation, you add them together, you will get one result called total. So that is total is one information. Similarly, you add the 5 subject marks divided by the number of subjects, that is 5, multiply by 100, you will get another result called percentage. Similarly, you apply some condition on the percentage. If the percentage is greater than or equal to 60, the grade is first class. The percentage is between 50 to 60, 59, it is second class, and so on. So here what happens is, your data is marks in 5 subjects. The first information is total. The second information is percentage. The third information is grade. So all these 3 information, you will get it after processing. For processing, either you can use a numeric operation like addition, subtraction, division, etc., or you can use some non-numeric operation also, if condition, comparison, etc. The thing is, you have a data, you process them, you will get some information. What we are going to do with the information? Information should help in taking decision. For example, by looking at the information like total, percentage, grade, etc., the one decision I can take is who is the first rank holder in the course. Because the person who has the highest percentage will be the first rank. What is the pass percentage? And in which subject the performance of the student was better? All these 3 decisions I can take it after getting information. So the first thing is consider the data, convert them into information. With the information, you take some decision. Now the question is, you have a data, then the thing is we need to store you need to store or represent the data in the computer memory so that it's possible for you to process them efficiently and effectively. So the data needs to be organized in the computer memory in a suitable form for processing them effectively and efficiently. So for organizing the data in the computer memory in an efficient way, we require certain mathematical or a logical model. Such a logical or a mathematical model for particular organization of the data, we call it a data structure. Now, hope you have understood the term between data, information, decision making, and data structure. Data is raw facts or figure. You apply either some numeric operation like addition, division, multiplication, etc. Data is converted into information. By looking at the information, you take some decision. Now, we need to represent this data in the computer memory in a very suitable form, so that processing them is also easy and retrieving them also is easy. So we need to process them both effectively and efficiently. So data structure specifies the way or how the data can be stored in the computer memory for efficiently processing them. Next, what are the basis on which a data structure is selected? On what goals we are selecting a data structure for a particular data? Selection of the data structure. While selecting a suitable data structure for your data, you should have these 4 criteria or conditions. One is, whatever data structure you are selecting should reflect the actual relationship of the data in the real world. For example, you consider the marks scored, total marks scored by all the 50 students of second semester BC. We know that the total marks of every student is one integer number. Now, how many integer numbers are there? 50 integer numbers are. For every student, one total is there. If there are 50 students, means 50 integer numbers are there. So in that case, we need to store them in a way so that that data structure should allow all the data type of same type. So in that case, we are going to select what is known as an array, because array is a data structure which allows homogeneous data item. Here, all the 50 student marks will be of same type. Similarly, if you want to store the information about a particular student, like his name, register number, marks in different subject, father's name, etc. Here, what happens is different data will be of different data type. In that case, you select a data structure which support heterogeneous data item. So probably there we are selecting structures or union. So the first condition for selecting the data structure is the selected data structure should reflect the relationship of the data in the real world. Second one is, it should help in processing the data efficiently. It should help in retrieving the data efficiently. And at the same time, whatever data structure you are selecting should take less memory. It should utilize less memory. And at the same time, it should take less CPU time for processing. Again, to understand the difference between a data and a data structure, let us consider one more example. Consider a set of pens. So your data here, it is set of pens. Then where you are going to keep the pens? We are not keeping them in the almirah. We are not keeping them in a box. Generally, we are keeping the set of pen in a pen stand, because when you keep the pens in a pen stand, it's easy for you to identify a suitable pen. It's easy for you to pick up a suitable pen. So processing is also easy. Retrieving is also easy. Instead of that one, if you have a set of books, then we are not selecting pen stand, because you can't keep the books in a pen stand. It's not at all possible to store it. At the same time, it's not possible to process it. You can't retrieve the books. For the books, the best data structure could be a book rack. Similarly, for a set of dresses you are wearing, then the best data structure could be almirah. So here the data is set of books, set of pens, and set of dresses. The suitable data structure for these three data are: one is pen stand, book rack, and an almirah. So by selecting the data structure, consider these 4 goals. It should reflect the actual relationship of the data in the real world. It should help them in processing the data efficiently. It should help in retrieving the data efficiently. And the data structure you are selecting for your data should utilize very less memory, and at the same time, it should take less CPU time for processing. For every data or for every application, same data structure may not be suitable. For some application, some data structure is preferable. For some other application, we have to go for some other data structure. For example, if you want to store student information include name, register number, marks, percentage, etc. In that case, the best data structure could be structure. Instead of that one, if you want to store some set of numeric data where all the data is of same integer type or same float type, in that case, the best data structure could be arrays. Next thing is how data structures have been classified. Generally, data structures are broadly classified into 2 types: primitive data structure and non-primitive data structure. Non-primitive data structures are further classified into linear data structure and non-linear data structure. Anyway, I'm going to explain about primitive, non-primitive, linear, non-linear, all these things in detail in my subsequent classes. Some of the examples of primitive data structures are integer, real, character, pointer, logical, etc. Non-primitive is divided into linear and non-linear. Examples of linear data structures are array, stack, linked list, queue, etc. Examples of non-linear data structure is trees and graph. Let us take these data structures, these classifications one by one. Primitive data structure. As the name indicates, a primitive data structure is one which can be handled by using machine level instruction. So primitive data structures are operated upon by machine level instruction. And primitive data structure are the data structure which is provided by the language itself. These data structures are not user defined or user created data structure, because primitive data structure user or the programmer cannot create. Every language has some built-in data structure. Those built-in data structure we call them as primitive data structures. And the second feature of a primitive data structure is they are atomic in nature. That means they are always smallest unit. You cannot decompose them further. They are the individual unit. And the availability of the primitive data structure varies from one language to another language. The primitive data structure available in Python may not be available in C. The primitive data structure available in C language may not be available in Pascal. So the primitive data structure varies from language to language, and the machine instruction, machine keyword you use them to handle the primitive data structure also varies. For example, of primitive data structures are integer, real, character, boolean, pointer, etc. In C language, integer is handled as int, real is handled as float, character is handled as char. There is no primitive data structure called boolean in C. Pointer is there in C language. So the representation and the machine instruction to handle them varies from language to language. The data structure which are not at all primitive are considered as a non-primitive data structure. As the name indicates, these data structures are not available in the language. These data structure the programmer has to create. How to create a non-primitive data structure? The non-primitive data structures are created by combining several primitive data structures. While combining, you can group same data items in one class or different data items in another class. If you combine same data item, it could lead to, it can give you array. If you combine data items of different data type, you may get structures. And in case of non-primitive data structure, what happens is they are not created, they are always created by the programmer. They are not available in the language. Every programmer has to create a non-primitive data structure suitable for his application. Non-primitive data structure are further classified into two more types: linear data structure and non-linear. Both linear data structure and non-linear data structure are non-primitive data structures only. Let us see what is the difference between these two and what are the examples of both linear and non-linear data structures. Linear data structure, as the name indicates, it's a collection of data items, but the relationship among the data item in case of linear data structure is adjacency relationship or linear relationship. A linear data structure is one in which adjacency relationship or linear relationship is maintained among the data items. What do you mean by adjacency? Adjacency is a type of relation that tells that the elements are in some proper sequence. We can easily tell which is the first number, which is the second number, which is the third number, and so on. For example, you consider an array of 5 elements, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Definitely we can say that 10 is stored in A0, 20 is stored in A1, 30 is stored in A2, 40 is stored in A3, and so on. So we can easily tell which is the first data in the array, which is the second data in the array, and so on. Next, how the adjacency relationship is maintained in case of linear data structure. We can maintain or we can bring out the adjacency relationship among the data item in case of linear data structure in two different ways. One is you take the memory location continuously. Example, arrays. In the case of array, if you have an array of 10 element mean, if the array is of integer type, in that case, if the first number is stored in the address 1000 mean, second number is stored in 1002 because every integer takes 2 bytes. Next number is stored in 1004, 1006, 1008, and so on. If the same array is of float type and the first number is stored in 1000 mean, next number is stored in 1004, 1008, and so on. So by taking consecutive memory location, we can maintain the adjacency relationship. But sometimes what happens is The addresses are not continuous, they are scattered, but still you bring them together through by linking them together. So through a chain of pointer also, we can maintain the adjacency relationship. Examples of a linear data structure in which the adjacency relationship is maintained through consecutive memory location is array. And in which it is maintained through chain of pointer is linked list. Anyway, I'm going to discuss about array, linked list, etc. in my subsequent classes. All the elements of a linear data structure are in the same level. You cannot differentiate which is the top element, which is the bottom element. Example, array. All the elements of the array are in the same level. It could be stored in different subscript, A0, A1, etc. But their level is always same. Examples of linear data structures are array, stack, queue, linked list, etc. Anyway, there is a separate chapter on each of these linear data structures. And in the case of linear data structure, even though linear data structure contains set of elements, you can access them at any moment. Only one data, you cannot access them all the elements together. You can access A0, then A1, then A2, etc. You cannot handle the whole array at a time. You cannot print the entire array in single statement. Next, what do you mean by a non-linear data structure? Any data structure which is not linear is non-linear. Any data structure which is not primitive is non-primitive. Any data structure which is not linear is non-linear. We know that the type of relationship that is maintained among the element of a linear data structure is linear relationship or adjacency relationship. But if you find any other relationship among the data item other than adjacency relationship, such a data structure, we call it a non-linear data structure. Some of the examples of non-adjacency relationship are hierarchical relation. In the case of hierarchical relationship, we can tell which element is the top level, which element is the next level, which element are there in the next level, and so on. So the hierarchical relationship is there also, it is considered as a non-linear data structure. If a many-to-many relationship is there also, it is considered as a non-linear data structure. That means other than the adjacency, if any other relationship if it's there, it is non-linear. Examples of non-linear data structures are, one is tree, other one is graph. In case of tree, we can see hierarchical relationship. In case of graph, we can see many-to-many relationship. Anyway, trees and graph will be explained in the 4th unit. Next, let us think about what are all the operations we can perform on data structure. There are certain operations which can perform on both primitive data structure as well as non-primitive data structure. But there are certain operations which can be performed only on non-primitive. Those operations are not available for primitive. The first one is creation. This is the basic operations on any data structure. This operation creates a data structure. How do you create a data structure in C language? In C language, data structure can be created using declaration statement like int a comma b. So above line creates two data structure, A and B. Both of them are integer type. Integer is a primitive data structure. That means that statement create two primitive data structures. Next line, float x comma y. Create two more primitive data structure, x and y. Third one, create another primitive data structure called pointer. The complementary operation to creation operation is destroy. So whatever data structure you have created can be removed from the memory using destroy. Next, data structure is a model. The purpose is to add some data into that one. The process of inserting a data into the data structure, we call it an insertion. Similarly, complementary operation to insertion operation is deletion. This operation removes the data from the data structure. Student, here you should observe the difference between destroy and deletion. Destroy operation deletes the data structure itself, whereas the deletion operation will not delete the data structure. The data structure will be there in the memory. It only removes the element, deletes the element from the data structure. These four operations, traversing, searching, sorting, merging, these four operations are not applicable for primitive data structure. They are applicable for only non-primitive data structure. That is for both for linear data structure and non-linear data structure. The first one is traversing. Traversing is an operation which accesses every element of the data structure only once, and same operation is performed on every element. Example, consider an array of 5 elements, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I want to traverse this array so that I want to increment every element by 1. Then what you do is go to the first element, access the element. First element is 10. Increment, it becomes how much now? 11. Go to the second element, 20, access it. Increment again by 1 only, 21. Third element becomes 31. Fourth element becomes 41. Fifth element become 51. So here every element is accessed only one, and same operation, every element is incremented by one only. Such an operation we call it a traversing operation. Searching is an operation which checks whether a particular item is present in the list or not. If it is present, the search is successful. The item is not found, the search is unsuccessful. So in your first semester, you might have studied the searching operation like linear search and binary search. Sorting. Sorting is an operation which arranges the data element in some order. In case of numeric data, the element could be arranged in either ascending order or descending order. In case of alphabetic data or character data, the data should be arranged in the form of alphabetic order. Next one is merging operation. Merging operation, what it does is you have two lists. Both the lists are already sorted. List 1 is sorted and list 2 is also sorted. You join them, once again make it as a sorted list. So such an operation of joining two or more sorted lists into single combined sorted list, we call it a merging operation. For example, you consider two arrays. The first array, the elements are 5, 15, 25, 35, 45. It's already sorted. You take another element, another array, again the elements are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So first array is also sorted, second array is also sorted. You join them, prepare once again a final sorted list. Now the final sorted list element become 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So that operation we call it as a merging operation. The terms data types and data structure are highly confusing. In your first semester, you have studied data types in C language. Then here we discuss about what is the difference between a data type and a data structure. Data types specify the type of value we can store it in that one, set of operation we can perform on it, and the range of value we can store it in that one. For example, you consider int A. So here int is a data type also. So there what happens is, from the data type of point of view, data type specify the type of value. What type of value we can store it in A? We can store only whole number. Next, set of operation. What are the operations we can perform on integer? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, etc. And range of value. What are the range of integer in C? Minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. So if you discuss these three, that is type of value a variable can hold, set of operation, and the range of value, that is considered as a data type. Whereas data structure specify the organization of the data in the computer memory so that processing will become efficient. Third difference between a data type and a data structure is, whenever you are working with data type, don't bother about the time and the space complexities. Whereas when you are working with data structure, you should always select a data structure such that time utilization is also should be less and space utilization also should be less. So time complexity is not at all issue in case of data type, but it's a major consideration in case of data structures. The last definition in today's class will be an abstract data type. What do you mean abstract? Abstract is not something which is hidden. We call it as an abstract. For example, you go to hotel, you order a masala dosa. So as a customer, you just tell the waiter you want masala dosa. Then the waiter will bring the plate with masala dosa into your table. So here how the masala dosa is prepared inside the kitchen will not be visible to the customer. So that information is hidden. So that is one type of abstraction. The purpose of abstraction is to make the thing simpler. If the kitchen preparation detail is also known to the customer, then the problem it increases the complexity. So in order to reduce the complexity, every language provides some type of abstraction. A data structure, we can view it in two different angles. One is logical view, other one is implementation view. So generally, for the programmer, only logical view is visible. That means you can operate on the data structure, we can process the data, we can change the data structure, whatever thing you can do it. But how the data structure is maintained or how the data structure is implemented inside the computer memory, no human being can see it. Only operating system can see. So logical view is visible to the programmer. Implementation view is hidden from the programmer. So describing a data structure or describing a data type from only logical point of view, not from the implementation point of view, we call it as an abstract data type. So specifying the data structure or specifying the data type by only the set of values and a set of operation, nothing else. Implementation detail is not at all visible. We call it as an abstract data type. Different programming language will have different strategy for hiding. Examples of abstract data types are stack, queue, tree, etc. Whenever we're working on these data structure, we think about only what is stack, what are the operations we can perform on stack, what are the applications of stack, etc. But how stack is represented inside the computer memory, no programmer can see. So that detail is always hidden. So that is called an abstract data type. Now I hope understood the difference between data type, data structure, abstract data type. Data type specifies what type of value we can store it in the data. Operation we can perform, set of operation we can perform on it, and set range of value we can store it in the variable. Data structure specify the way of organizing the data in the computer memory. Abstract data type specify only the data type and the operation without indicating or without revealing the implementation details. So based on today's class, some of the probable review questions that could appear either as a 2-mark question or for the long answer question in your examination. What is data structure? What is the need for data structure? What are the criteria for selecting data structure? What are primitive data structure? What is a linear data structure? What is non-linear data structure? Distinguish between data type and data structure. What is abstract data type? Explain. Long answer question could be explain the classification of data structure with example. So here to give the top level classification is primitive, non-primitive, and the non-primitive you have linear and non-linear. Example for each. For primitive, integer, real, pointer, character, etc. For linear, array, stacks, queues, linked list, etc. For non-primitive, non-linear, it is graph and trees. Define data type, data structure, and abstract data type, and explain the operations on data structure. To test whether you have understood the concept that I have taught today, I have framed some simple 5 multiple choice questions. These questions definitely will be useful when we go to interview at the end of your BCA course. Which of the following is a primitive data structure? Array, stack, integer, queue. Definitely we know that array, stack, queue comes under the category of linear data structure. A linear data structure is a non-primitive. The only example of a primitive data structure is integer C. The correct answer is C. Data structure in which non-adjacency relationship is preserved. The data structure in which adjacency relationship preserved is linear. Non-adjacency means non-linear. So array, linear data structure. Stack, linear data structure. Queue is also linear. Only tree is non-linear. The correct answer is D. Operation in which a common operation is performed on every element exactly once. We know that the operation is traversing. The correct answer is D, traversing. ADT. ADT stands for abstract data type. So in the abstract data type, we specify only the data type and the operation. So how the data type is implemented inside the computer memory is not visible, it is hidden. So the correct answer is abstract data type B. Which of the following primitive data structure is supported by C language? Integer. Integer is represented as int. Float available. Char is also available. All of them. So all the 3 data structure are available in C language. Only thing is integer is not represented as integer. It is denoted as int. But definitely that data structure is available in C language. So with this, I will conclude today's class. As a summary, in today's class, we discussed about what is a data, then what is a data structure, what is the difference between data and a data structure, what are the criteria or goals for choosing a data structure for our data, then how data structures have been classified, examples of different categories of data structure, the difference between the term data structure, data type, and finally, we concluded with the definition of abstract data type. Abstract, you just remember that expressing or explaining the data type only from the logical point of view, not from the implementation point of view, we call it as abstract. So if you have any doubts, any clarification, you can call me over my mobile number 9880192329, or you can send your doubts, queries to my mail ID kaushik.manjunath@gmail.com. You can also post your comments or doubt in the Google class in the comment section. Anyway, thank you. Hope you have enjoyed today's session. I will meet you in the next class. Thank you.